Hello, rock stars, Matt Vanderbo. Yeah! Hey, if you haven't yet subscribed to this channel, please do so. It will help me turn this thing into something that churns a little bit of revenue for myself rather than being just a crazy time sucker done out of this kindness of my own heart. It doesn't cost you to subscribe to the channel, but it would help me peel away some dollars from YouTube's ad money, which they are already putting ads on my videos, so I might as well get a few bucks for that, you know what I'm saying? So click that subscribe button. Okay, commercial over. If you watched my last video, you will know the importance of keeping your music out of the way of dialogue. But there is a third way that you can accomplish the same task, and it's actually my preferred method. And if you stick with me for a few minutes, I'll tell you all about it. So buckle up, baby, and let's dive in. Okay, so as a refresher, most of the placements that you will land as a cue composer are going to happen on reality television. Reality TV does not just mean your stereotypical shows like the Real Housewives series or Keeping Up with the Kardashians or Basketball Wives. Reality TV can encompass all other types of programming as well, from your veterinarian shows to the puppies and kittens shows, to the travel shows, to the food and cooking shows as well. Basically anything that falls under the broad category of unscripted television is what I consider to be a reality TV show. And the reality with reality TV is that most of the time when people are on screen, they are talking.
Constantly yammering.
And your music is going to be placed underneath all of that chatter. And as such, your music cannot conflict with the dialogue that the characters are saying. So we need to make sure that our lead lines stay out of the way. And I've already given you 2 ways to accomplish that, but here's the third method, which is my preferred method of choice. And that is to just make your lead lines simple and minimal. That's it. It really doesn't get much easier than that. I am telling you that the best way to make money is to not do anything complex and be simple. You've all heard that acronym, Keep It Simple, Stupid, KISS. Well, that is the exact mentality we need to have when composing our cues. This is a big challenge for most new composers, especially greenhorns who might be armed with a college composition degree. They'll come into this field and want to show off all the stuff they know and show how complex they can be with the melody and then the counterpoint and then the this and then the that and the harmonies and all the stuff. You don't need any of that. In fact, if you're putting all that stuff in, your music is probably way too complex to be useful as a reality TV cue. The hardest challenge that you are going to face is not in the composition itself, but in reining your instincts in and being okay with the fact that you are making simple music. I know I struggled with this personally for years when I first jumped into this field. I almost felt guilty when I had made music that didn't have much going on. I was like, I cannot submit this to a music library. They're gonna laugh at me and they're gonna say,
go back to school or something. You don't know what you're doing.
But in truth, it's the simple music that gets way more placements than the complex stuff. And you just need to be okay with that. Accept the reality that reality TV needs simple music. And at the end of the day, what would you rather have? Would you rather have some melody and counterpoint and harmonies that you are exceptionally proud of and can play for your composition buddies and say, look how good I am? Or would you rather have a big fat pile of cash from making simple music that actually got used on TV?
That's a no-brainer for me.
So you may be asking, well, what the heck is simple music? That's a great question. I am so glad you asked. So I'm going to play you a few examples so you can kind of wrap your head around this. The first example I'm going to play is an early dramedy track of mine that I probably made in my 2nd or 3rd year of this journey. So we're going back to 2013 or so. This track was actually used quite a bit on the animal show Too Cute, which was really too too cute. I just love that show. But whenever it was used on the show, the editors would only use the first 10 seconds or so. And then they would cut to somebody else's music after my first 10 seconds. So here's what that sounded like. So they would use that bit, and then as soon as I brought more stuff in, then they were cutting to someone else's music. And I always had just this mental hang up over that, because I'm like, well, that was just the intro. The good stuff happens later. But I didn't know that my good stuff was way too complex to be usable because there was too much stuff happening. It was far too distracting. So let me fast forward to the end of this track in this area right here, and you will hear what I thought was good composition, but in truth was just way too complex to be useful. Okay, I've got trumpet in there. I remember playing my trumpet on this track. I had bongos, I had mallets, there was stuff going everywhere, and really it just created the sound of chaos. But the first part, in comparison, those first 10 seconds, that's money, baby. What I thought was just a simple intro was actually the most usable part of that entire track. Lesson learned. Now, fast forward some 12, 13, 14 years later, here I am with some valuable lessons I learned over a decade ago, and now I can play for you some examples of how I compose music currently, and you will see exactly how simple music works. So in this track, I'm going to play you a section that happens in about the 2/3 mark, which would be the jack section. See how simple that is? And in that, I don't even know if there was a melody. Dun 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 dun. I guess you could call it a melody. I don't know if I would call it a melody or a lead, or it's just music, right? Because there's nothing that you could say is the melody or is the lead. That's why it's good. Let's go to another example, and in this one, I'm going to play you the opening section, which would be the king section. And if you haven't seen this King, Queen, Jack, Ace video, I would encourage you to check it out. But my king section is usually my all-in part of a track. It's where everything is going. So this, you will actually be able to hear my entire melody. Here it is. Did you hear a melody in there or anything you could call a lead? Well, I don't know. It was just, the bass was doubling what the palm muted electric guitar was doing. Dun 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 dun. I don't have anything going on top of that. It's just everything's playing a unison part. That's probably more of a rhythm part than a melody part. So there you go. Now, one more example, and this will also happen in this first king section. Let's take a listen. Did you hear a melody in that one? Because actually there was one. It was just extremely minimal. It was being played on some mallets, probably the vibraphone, but it went Let's listen for it again. That was the melody, and it was just 4 notes. Okay, this is how simple our lead lines need to be. And there's no EQ filtering on there. Everything's in the normal octave, so I didn't employ any of my other strategies. It's just simple enough I didn't need to alter it. 4 notes, baby! So I hope this video opened your mind to the fact that complex can be a killer when it comes to getting placements, and simpler is almost always better. So Keep it simple, sucker! And now go out and make simple music and get lots of placements and make yourself lots of money, baby!